Okay, this is video 7 of the backpack from Jeans, and I hope you don't mind that I'm splitting it up into short videos. It's easiest to upload them that way, and I think it'll be easy for people to pause the video if they need to go sew something and then continue. You see, this is going to be a pocket. So here I have sewn my seams and trimmed them. And I have a flat front piece and a flat back piece. And this is where you're going to do any embellishing, or these particular stitches here, the maroon, were done with the Singer Automatic Zigzagger on, I believe, the 1591. And it's kind of a scrap piece of fabric. But if you had a Singer 500A or any of the new fancy machines with different stitches, or a vintage machine with a zigzagger, and you want to put embroidery all over your backpack, now is the time to do it. It will help if you have a free arm, because what you're going to be doing is sewing on just one surface, but this is wide enough so that you can fit it under the needle of a regular machine without too much of a problem. So I have decided to just do one pocket across the front. I'm going to be stitching down here, across here, and up, leaving the top part open. I may at some point divide this into smaller pockets for like keys or whatever. I could even do that by hand later if I wanted to, or because this is going to all be able to be opened up, I could do it by machine later. But for any real construction, it's better to do it now as far as pockets. Now, keep in mind, use your imagination for what you want to add. If you want to add buttons all over it, you could do that now. If you want to put rhinestones on it, or any of the embellishments that you would normally be adding to a fabric before you sew something. You want to make sure you pull the commercially made pockets up out of the way so that you don't catch them when you're sewing. And it'll be easy to go through whatever layers you have if you're using a full-size machine. You can also sew this by hand. You can just tack this on here by hand if you want. Keep in mind, some pockets, I have an art backpack that has, the actual opening is on the side. It's almost as long as this. The three sides like this are sewn to the fabric, and it's got an opening here, and that's for sunglasses or glasses. So use your imagination for what you want to add to it. The backpack is going to sit so that this side is what faces away from your back. This is what people are going to see if they look at you wearing your backpack. So keep that in mind and do your designing, your layout. I'm only going to add the one pocket for right now, but you know what else I was thinking is, this is kind of why I made the brown paper patterns. I can make quilted fabric, which I do anyway for pillowcases, but I can piece squares and then quilt them to the batting, and without a backing fabric if I don't want one, and then use the brown paper pattern pieces to make a quilted backpack. So thanks again for the idea, Chuck, because there's an awful lot you can do here. So after you get your if you're going to add a pocket, you get your pocket placed. What you have to make sure you've done is turn the edges under on your fabric and stitch about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge so that all of the edges of your pocket are already finished. And all you're doing at this point is putting it down to the fabric. And I guess you could also, you don't have to turn them under. If you want frayed pockets, you could use denim and let the pocket edges fray. it'll be more secure if you do it this way. So let me put the camera down and now when you're sewing something like this, and this goes from something wide like this project to hemming pants or even making small doll clothes, shirts, the sleeves, there are a lot of things that are tubes. And this is basically a tube, and what you have to make sure you don't do is sew it to the other side of the tube. It's really very simple to do. Excuse me. So I've got all of this extra fabric, the bottom half, the back half, all pulled up out of the way. And you'll see as you do this that you're going to have to manipulate the fabric a little bit to keep everything flat. Now, when I get close to an edge, the back and the bottom wants to get back under there again. So like I said, you just manipulate it a little bit. And I think I have changed my mind, and I'm going to go around the three sides and leave that other narrow side open. If I use this for art, I can put paintbrushes in there. I can use it for eyeglasses. I can use it for a phone. I can add a flap to that later, or a Velcro, or a button. If you want to use buttons for closures, now's a great time to use one of the vintage button holder attachments and practice your buttonholes. So reusing fabric is a good way to use all of the different attachments with your machine. And by finishing the edges before I did this, I don't really have to worry that I'm catching a raw edge or making sure that I'm catching a raw edge. Now the center here is going to be a little bit difficult to go over, probably not with this machine, but depending on the machine you have, because I'm sewing over the bottom of the fly area. And in that case, it is getting a little stuck. And yes, my machine is loose in this cabinet because it just sits in this table. Yeah, it doesn't want to go over that. And it's not that it won't go through it, it doesn't want to go over it. There's too much fabric there for the needle to want to go over. And sometimes you can just ease it into it. But with something like this, what I'm going to do is skip it. I don't want to break the needle. I don't want to keep moving the machine around. So I just pulled it past that area, and I will go back and by hand add a couple of stitches at that point to hold that in place. And that's the back tacking I was talking about earlier. Just pull this all out. Take the pins out. And I have a long, narrow pocket with the opening over here. And that will hold my glasses, that will hold paintbrushes, that will hold pencils. So you can use your imagination, and you can also keep in mind, if you do pick up some sidewalk chalk or blackboard chalk, you can draw your plan all over this before you actually sew it, to see if you're going to like the way it comes out. So there's the pocket.